Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here tonight with Bruce McCurdy. Hey, Bruce.
Hey, David, how are you doing tonight?
Excellent. And how are you?
I'm well, thank you. That was a rip-roaring hockey game we were treated to tonight.
Yeah, the Oilers seem to want to send a message in this game, Bruce, and take care of a little business. And they did both in a well-deserved, much-deserved 2-0 win over the Kings of Los Angeles. Bruce, because it was such a fantastic Oilers victory, we will go with, we're going to expand on our regular 2 good things, 2 bad things, and 2 numbers podcast and go 2 good things each. All right?
Okay.
What is your...
That's pretty regular, but especially with all these games Oilers have been winning lately.
Yeah, what is your...
We only do that after wins.
We do it after big wins.
Big
You're a little
wins.
low on the screen again there, Bruce.
Okay.
There you go. There you go.
Change my posture.
Stretch out to that full 6'4". There you go. Big as Nick Bugstad right now. All right. Bruce, what is your first good thing?
Oh, boy. Well, it's got to be Stu Skinner tonight. Just a fantastic display of net minding from the young goaltender right from the get-go, really. And this was for all that this game ended 2-0. It sounds like a tight checking game, which it really was in the first period. But even then, in the second half of the period, it started to open up. And then from there, it was the 2 teams really went at it. Shots on net 43-37 for the Kings, including 19 shots in the third period as they were throwing kitchen sinks at Skinner at regular intervals, and a bunch of other things too. And it was, I mean, I can't begin to enumerate the individual saves he made. One that stands out to me was the breakaway he made, stopped off of Adrian Kempe.
Oh, yeah, that was the big one.
Where Kempe went to the backhand deke and got it up and over the pad, but right into the glove, the waiting glove of Skinner, who was perfectly positioned and not fooled at all by the deke, went with it, had it covered, made the stop. And he just seemed to be well positioned all night in the net. And I thought down the stretch he got lucky a couple of times. There was a couple of pucks that could have bounced different. There was a rebound that bounced over Danault's stick that could have easily been converted. There was in the last minute a post. There was a puck that went under him, but he sort of almost landed on it. The one puck, I mean, he made a great save off of, I think it was the big guy, Quentin Byfield, had a tip right in front, and Skinner got his pad on it, and the thing popped right up in the air, and it sort of landed in the midsection of Anze Kopitar. And, he couldn't shoot it or really do anything with it, but it was right on the edge of the crease, and it came back down, and he tried to jam it in. Skinner somehow on the goal line was able to keep that one out. And I think the Kings just kept ramping it up, and he just had the solution for everything. And there was, what do we have, grade A shots, David, in this game?
We had the grade A shots for the Oilers, 13, and for the LA Kings, 17.
17. Yeah.
And they each had the subset of 5 alarm shots was 8 each. Right. So it was pretty close in terms of grade A shots in that game. Korpisalo also.
He was outstanding.
Yeah.
Very, very good.
Yeah, he's an intense guy.
Yeah, he actually won today's battle of the irresistible force against the immovable object, because he came into this game with 6 straight games in LA of 2 goals or fewer, and the Oilers came into this game with 14 straight games in March with 3 goals or more, and they wound up getting the just the 2, but it was more than enough to win. In fact, by the identical scores, they won Game 7 of the a thrilling playoff series the same two teams had last year. And they had expected goals in natural stat trick had Edmonton at 3.7 and LA at just over 3.0. And by our metric, it would be LA with their nose in front because they had a few more grade A's.
Yeah, we're counting the one-timers more than they are. I don't even know if they count one-timers because there's one-timers are often outside the home plate scoring chance zone, and if you're not counting those,
moving and
yeah, that's how you score goals in the NHL.
Yeah,
Korpisalo, Bruce, is the spitting image of this actor from the TV show Vikings. He played Jarl Borg, and Korpisalo looks just like Jarl Borg, who ends up dying one of the most incredible and horrendous deaths ever depicted on TV of the Blood Eagle, but I won't get into that.
Okay.
With any further information, you can watch it if you want. Season 2 of Vikings.
Okay.
It is the most shocking episode of TV I've ever seen in my life. Okay.
I just have to look for Joonas Korpisalo and wait for him to meet his demise.
Indeed.
Okay.
Boy, that Philip Deneau, the Oilers would have had more grade A shots, Bruce, but for that Philip Deneau on the ice. That guy is the smartest defensive hockey player in the NHL, I think, for a forward. Like, he is an incredible player.
Man, Bergeron is in that class, but
yes,
but way at the A+ level
of
defensive awareness and execution. He's a fantastic defensive player to know, and a decent offensive player. You know, he reminds me of, in a sense, of Guy Carbonneau, you know, the guy who's like 75% of his value is defensive, but he can really hurt you when he gets half a chance. And he's mind you, Oilers hung a -2 on him tonight, David. And his line mates, Victor Arvidsson and Trevor Moore, the line that's given Edmonton headaches over recent years.
Moore seems down at court. He doesn't seem quite, like, I know he's missed some games. He's only played 51 games this year, so he's been injured, obviously.
Right.
And he has been such a threatening and dangerous player. He didn't seem to be quite on his game the way we've seen him in the past, for which I'm thankful, because he is such a good hockey player as well. As is Arvidsson. All three of those guys. I don't like some of the Kings players, and we'll get to that in a second. But those three guys I have a lot of respect for. They really play hard, and they're smart, skilled hockey players. Like, are they all from? Is Deneau from Canada and Moore? Yeah. Well, no, Moore is American. Deneau could be on a Team Canada, and would not be a bad pick at all for a Team Canada as your fourth line.
No. If you're looking for a penalty killer and a defensive conscience type of guy, absolutely, you think about him. 29 years old, and right in the heart of his career.
Skinner did. Oh, sorry, Bruce.
Moore had a hat trick the last time the Kings were in Edmonton. He had all 3 goals in a 3-1 win, and that was a hard-fought win where LA got their noses in front. And tonight, fortunately, that didn't happen, in part due to Skinner, who made some good saves right from early days and just got hotter and stronger as the game went on.
The most impressive thing about Skinner, Bruce, is tonight he survived the Jack jinx. With 10 minutes left in the game, Jack Michaels did it again. He said, Edmonton's 10 minutes away from winning it. Yeah. And it's like, okay.
My wife was not happy when he said that. She's a little more superstitious than I am, and I wasn't happy either, because I'm just superstitious enough to say, leave it alone. Don't start talking about fait accompli. This game's in the bag. Yeah.
Well, it's almost like
this is the Oilers, Jack.
It's almost like the Jack's jinx has become a good luck charm. He said it. He made a comment the last game too. I can't remember what it was, and it's like they've won both. So maybe the Jack's jinx is something that we need now. We need him to do that for the Oilers to win a game. All right.
You must have a good thing or two, David.
I do. Bruce, my good thing is, and I think this comes out of the Oilers, 2 things. This Oilers coaching strategy heading into the game, and the Oilers absolute determination of players like McDavid and Draisaitl that they were going to send a message to the LA Kings, and that message is essentially shove it up your butt. We're not going to take it anymore. We're not going to wait for one of our teammates to come to our defense when we get hit by you. We're going to hit you. And the Oilers, I would say, first of all, the strategy was something that I would call dump and thump, where the Kings are trying to kill off the game with their negative hockey, Italian soccer, 1980s style game of clogging up the neutral zone, parking the bus in the neutral zone, don't let anything happen, and play your stinker hockey and try to make the other team make mistakes. Well, the Oilers smartened up. And they thought, okay, we're going to dump the puck in, and we're going to get in there and thump your defenseman. And did they ever carry that off, Bruce? This is the perfect strategy. The Oilers are fast enough to do this. They can get that puck in there, and they've got fast, big, physical forwards who can get in there and start to lay a licking on those Kings defensemen. That's how you'll beat the LA Kings in the playoffs. That's the blueprint for beating that team. And you could wear the Kings down rather quickly, I think. We'll see if you can pull that off in the playoffs. But the Oilers are capable of it, because this isn't the Oilers of the decade of darkness where they remember all those years where they just had little guys at forward, or even the Oilers that of the last few years. This is a big, physical Oilers hockey team that has added players like Evander Kane, who had 7 hits in the first period, Nick Bjugstad, Klim Kostin, and then you get McDavid and Draisaitl making up their minds that they are going to lay some punishment on the opposition team. And it started off with a play that I think had most Oiler fans, maybe not to our credit, but probably had most Oiler fans standing up in their living room and giving a standing ovation to Connor McDavid when he rammed Mikey Anderson into the boards from behind, probably in retribution to the absolutely dirty play that Mikey Anderson made after the whistle in the playoffs last year, which injured Leon Draisaitl. And I don't like to see no one was hoping that he got hurt on the play necessarily, although maybe some people were even hurt for that one. But he made a really dirty play, and tonight he paid the price for that. And there was rough justice in that. If the NHL refs and the NHL is going to call the league this way, if it's going to be law of the jungle, then you need to play. If you're going to win in the NHL, then you must play that way. And it's why Mark Messier is revered to this day in that era of the NHL jungle. Mark Messier was king of the jungle, throwing that kind of hit constantly. And McDavid pulled a full Messier on that, just ramming Mikey Anderson. He never came back in the game. But it wasn't just McDavid. It was Draisaitl hit Doughty. He slashed Roy. He slashed Iafallo. Kane hit Dursey. Kostin hit Roy. Draisaitl hit Gavrikov. Hyman slashed Doughty in the second period. Fogle hit Kopitar, and Ekholm hit Arvidsson. There was a number of just big hits throughout this game with the dump and what is it? Dump and thump. The dump and thump. That's going to be the name of the podcast tonight, Bruce. The Oilers dump and thump the LA Kings. And that's how you beat this team. And it was great to see, because it's going to be a tough series, and you need the winning strategy. And I think the Oilers have happened on it, because this isn't a fast LA Kings team. And I don't even actually think it's a particularly tough LA Kings team. It's a disciplined LA Kings team. But this might work.
Well, they had to go the rest of the game with 5 defensemen. It was the very first shift for Mikey Anderson in his last shift. He only played 32 seconds on the night. And just the way he went down, you could tell it was something. And I can't say I totally condone that hit, but I certainly understand why that guy would have been the target in the eyes of the Oilers. And it was a hit from behind. I think the refs got it right with a 2-minute penalty for boarding. And it wouldn't shock me if McDavid gets a fine for that hit. But he exacted, as you called it, rough justice. And the 2 minutes that he did get is 2 more minutes than Anderson got in the playoffs last year, when he flat out injured Draisaitl with a real cheap foul after the whistle. So anyway, I know you've been talking about Mikey Anderson all year. You've been waiting for this night.
I have first.
I
I have.
love the hit that Leon threw on Doughty.
Yeah.
And, just sort of, why not take the extra step and finish the check? Wham. And when he does finish the check, I mean, he's such a load. And, that's a lot of foot pounds hitting the guy. I guess what you're saying,
PSI.
Newton's hitting the
Yeah.
guy. When you got a big guy like Draisaitl who can skate, or I mean, McDavid who can really skate. I mean, we've seen him. I mean, last year McDavid got kicked out of a game against the Kings right here in Edmonton when he hit. Who was it? He hit, and the guy's head hit the stanchion on
Oh,
the
yeah.
glass, just right between the two panes of glass, and he got cut. So he got a 5 in a game, and there was a lot of hue and cry about that. But that hit was worse than tonight's hit. But tonight's hit did have an unfortunate outcome in sense of injury. But most of these hits were just hard, rugged hockey, and there was a lot of that played tonight, and a lot of it played by the Oilers. And they've got a lot of hard, rugged guys who can play hockey now. I mean, I was writing last night about the team, and I talked about the size they got on the team and the maturity they got on the team. All the guys on their team, they don't have a bunch of lightweight kids. They're all 23 to 32 years old, practically the whole team, and a goodly number of them are big, or at least big enough, and really only a couple small guys in the entire lineup in Ryan and Yamamoto. And this is a team, and Ken Holland went about adding size this year. I mean, all of Costin, Desharnais, Ekholm, and Bukestad came during the season. Those are all huge men. And the Oilers are just a way bigger team than they used to be, and they're just as faster. Like they got speed and skill and size, all going for them, and a little bit of nasty, and that's a real nice recipe.
They're a bigger team than the Kings this year, and
they are now.
They are
maybe
now.
Weren't in November when they first played them, but
yeah. And a bigger team than Vegas, too. And Vegas has got a fairly big team. They got the Hague, who's huge. But anyway, Bruce, what is your second good thing?
Yeah, I guess I will go with the. Let's do it in order. You do your second good thing.
Okay. It's the first goal of the game. And it was a tremendous play by all three attacking players, and nice to see. I think since one of the things that's happened since the Ekholm trade, and this is just coincidence because I think it is concurrent with Yamamoto getting his health back, starting to get his health back, and he's been playing good to excellent two-way hockey. He has his off games and certainly off plays, but just regularly he's starting to get his two-way game going. And he's playing really well since the Ekholm trade. And tonight he picks the puck up in his own zone and he just flies up the ice. He really picked up speed right up the middle of the ice, which pushed LA back into their zone, didn't let them get set and get back on their defensive posture, which they had been doing up until then quite effectively that entire first period. But here we are under a minute left, and Yamamoto charges up the ice, puts the puck over to Draisaitl, who does what Leon Draisaitl does, which is to execute a pass that nobody else in the NHL can probably make. Spinning on the spot seemingly without looking, and on the backhand no look, Magic Johnson pass to Evander Kane in the slot. So we've had now two absolutely fantastic offensive plays. Yamamoto's rush, Draisaitl's pass, and it's finished off by a third spectacular play. Evander Kane takes that puck and one-times it right in the net from the slot. And it's that kind of brilliance on the attack, and the fact that Leon Draisaitl is playing such a monster level of hockey, leading his own line, that has me again super bullish on the Edmonton Oilers' possibility of winning the Stanley Cup this year. fantastic play.
Yeah, and that was one of these stop this kind of shot, right? The pass was unexpected. Pass was a bullet right into the slot. Kane lashed it. There was a defenseman right in front of him screening Korpisalo, and the puck ticked off the defenseman. So Korpisalo is dealing with a one-time hard shot from the slot that's both screened and deflected on the way into him, and it just whizzes into the net. Like he had absolutely no time to adjust to it, and that's what it took to beat that guy tonight. And I mean, the shot was a bullet, but the whole play was dazzling. And you're right on Yamamoto. I was looking at him earlier today and thinking maybe it's time for folks to, I mean, trouble with a bad season is that it takes a long time. It takes a long time to, if you're batting 200 in June, it takes a long time to get that average up to 275, and you can be hitting 320 for 2 months before you get it there. Anyway, in March, Kyle Yamamoto, 15 games, 5 goals, 6 assists, 11 points, plus 7.
Yeah.
That's pretty good for a guy that doesn't play on the power play, right? That's 10 even strength points and 1 shorthanded point.
And his even strength plus minus, his individual plus minus on grade A shots, Bruce, has been the best. He's been the best winger on the team in that time, other than Nugent Hopkins. He's been the best, I should say. So second best. That's what we call second best.
Nuge is a center in disguise, But
yeah, it's
Yam's the natural winger of that duo. But anyway, he full-time winger. Let's put it that way. And anyway, he's with Nuge, you would have an amalgam of stats, some of which he would accumulate at center and some on the wing. So
he's mainly been at wing the last little while.
Yam's full-time on the wing.
Yeah.
And he's picking it up, and it's time that I think people started to rate him on how he's doing now as opposed to how his season as a whole has been, which is what do you have now, Kyler, on the season is 52 games, 10 goals, 14 assists, 24 points, and plus 11. So he's crawling back up to that 1 point every 2 games that he achieved last year. And most of that work, I mean, put another way, he had 13 points all season coming into March, and now he's got 24.
That's what I like about the work that we do. One of the things I like about the work we do with the grade A shots is kind of this high resolution stat where there's a big enough sample size. We can start to notice these trends, like with Yamamoto, and I think it allows us to pick up on these things if a player starts to get some two-way mojo to his game going where it hasn't been the case, or a defensive slump, which can often go unnoticed. But it's one of the triggers that I have come to see that we can get, one of these signals from the work we do. Bruce, what's your second good thing?
Yeah, well, I'm going to go with the second goal since he took the first one. And 2 goals in a 2-0 game and a shutout. So, and a good physical team effort. And that kind of covers our good things tonight. And that goal was a brilliant individual effort by Connor McDavid with a tiny bit of help from Matthias Janmark, wasn't it? That was along the boards there.
Yeah, you might have. Yeah.
And I think he kind of semi-won a battle. Like he got a piece of the puck and it went over to, they probably scored the goal unassisted, they did. But he was kind of harassing the guy, and he lost his stick. Edmonton was in trouble if that pass gets through, but McDavid picked it off, and he made one quick move inside his own blue line to spring by the point man, and then he was gone. I mean, you're never going to catch McDavid on a play like that, and he was able to come in, slow down, pick his spot, it was sort of the Sakic move, shift the puck slightly to the side and shoot it right inside the stick side post. Also, the UC Jokinen move, they scored a stack of shootout goals. And when the shootouts first started, UC Jokinen kept doing that one where he does the quick shift and shot right inside the post and buried it for his 61st of the season.
Wow.
And I was right. And it was the same guy that made it 2-0 in Game 7, a little later in the third period that time. I mean, that was a tremendously exciting goal at the time because it seemed it was a very tense 1-0 game with 5 minutes left that time when he put it away. And this was, of course, just a regular season game, but it seemed to have a whole lot riding on it, and both teams were certainly giving it all they had. And for McDavid to break through in such a spectacular way, shorthanded, unassisted, all of a sudden there he is on the score sheet again. And I'll talk more about that in a minute, but he's got just another thrilling and key goal to help lead Oilers to another victory.
All right, let's move on to our bad things. Bruce, why don't you lead it off? What is your bad thing?
Okay, well, my bad thing is Connor McDavid. And one specific play of Connor McDavid, and this came with a minute and 30 to go in the third period. And LA was trying to get the puck into Edmonton zone and pull their goalie at the same time. And I'm pretty sure it was Nurse that corralled the puck just inside the Edmonton line, and he got it to McDavid. And McDavid had the puck with time to do something with it about 3 to 5 feet inside his own blue line, with LA guys already flooding the zone. So the play there, I mean, obviously you want to get it out under control, but mostly you want to get it out. And then they're going to have to reset and bring the guys out and so on. Anyway, he decides to get cute and make a pass back to Cody Ceci so Ceci can walk it out on the other side. Except for, guess what? I think it was Philip Deneau was right there on him. He gets a piece of McDavid's pass, and that was the last instant of control that Edmonton had for the entire rest of the game, which was spent all in Edmonton territory, 90 seconds of it, with all kinds of chaos and craziness going on. And some of it may well have happened anyway. I mean, LA, if he dumped it out, LA would have come back in and maybe they would have brought some of that stuff. But that was the moment that it just sort of seemed to fall apart for Edmonton, where their leader he made a lot of good plays in the third period. I like the way he dumped pucks in. I like the way, he got center and control. But this was a big mistake, and it was a rookie mistake, and you don't expect it from non-rookies, and you certainly don't expect it from a superstar of that caliber. But it was a mistake, and it nearly cost Skinner a shutout. And in the end, I mean, they escaped with the 2-0 margin intact. But boy, did that ever make did it ever kick off 90 seconds of chaos that ended the game. And given I have very few other bad things to choose from in this game, I said to my wife at the time, I said, well, the good thing is at least I have a bad thing to talk about now. Before I did, I wasn't sure what I was going to pick, but now I am. So that's my bad thing.
And mine is similar, Bruce. It is that last stretch where the Oilers, they gave up 17 grade A shots, Bruce. 5 of them came in those last 2 minutes. And I think Jay Woodcroft, he was almost one of my good things because I think, he came up with the dump and thump strategy that helped the Oilers win this game, got the players to buy into it. They did buy into it, and it's excellent coaching by Jay Woodcroft, who is an excellent coach. But I've complained about this before, and I think there's something to it. I'm not certain that the players you want out at the end of the game on the Edmonton Oilers are, when you're holding a 1-goal lead, are McDavid and Draisaitl and Hyman. These guys are all, obviously they're the 2 top attackers in the NHL this year, and someone else who's in the top 25. But they're all kind of offensive first, make a play first, rather than just hack the puck out of your own zone first, and cover your own man first, and cover off the slot first, and block a shot first, and hammer someone in the slot first. They just, if they're not, I would rather see, now that you have Nick Bjugstad, who's fantastic on the penalty kill, who's a 6'6" space eater, aircraft carrier. You have Matthias Janmark, who is, I think, the best defensive forward, best defensive winger the Oilers have had in about a decade. extremely smart player, very disciplined in his own zone. Kills penalties also. You have those two guys. You have Warren Fogle, a big, fast guy who will block shots, also can kill penalties. You have even Derek Ryan, a very, very smart hockey player, hardworking, kills penalties, will sacrifice for the team. You have a whole plethora of players like these on the bench. Use those guys. Put those guys out there in the last minute of the game. And I think that you're going to get better results than 5 grade A shots in the last 2 minutes.
Than tonight, for sure.
It is more likely that if you have McDavid or Hyman or Kane or Draisaitl, they're going to break out and score a goal. Like we all recall Josh Archibald was often out there in those situations and often got chances to score and miss the net. So there's that. But I just think it would be better for the dynamic of the team and better in terms of winning if you went with a shutdown group of players in the last minute of each period. When you're up a goal. What do you think? You think I'm way off there, Bruce, or do you think I got it?
Well, I think you want your best players out there. I mean, that's the sort of the go-to principle. But you really also want your best players to the task. Now, McDavid has developed into a pretty fine penalty killer, which we saw again tonight. Draisaitl is when he puts his mind to it, which has been a lot lately, very strong defensive player. I'm not quite sure I would choose Zach Hyman to be out there in that situation. I don't see him as a particularly strong defensive zone player. Anyway, they oftentimes they're out there, and as you say, they just score, and then they spend the rest of the game on the bench while they play out the string. And that's kind of the best possible result. But we saw also in the Arizona game, like 3 nights ago, there was a play like 10 seconds left in the third period, just out near the blue line. It looked like Arizona had lost possession. And Nugent Hopkins dived for it. Draisaitl dived for it. And McDavid took off forward as if he was expecting the puck to get chipped to him. And Clayton Keller made an absolutely fantastic diving play and pass to beat both the diving Oilers to the puck and pass it to a teammate. And all of a sudden, there was 2 Oilers left in the play because all 3 forwards were hung out to dry at the top of the defensive zone. The puck was behind him, and it was, I guess Keller was down on the ice, so it wasn't quite a 6-on-2. But it was a 5-on-2, and they had to pass through the slot, and a guy had a chance, and it was just, offensive instincts in a defensive situation. Let's call it that, and that's not always necessarily the best recipe.
Your number, Bruce.
Yeah, I'm going to go right back to Connor McDavid, since I haven't mentioned him hardly at all tonight, and the number is 4 times 10. For 5 times 10, he now has, with tonight's goal, a 10-game point-scoring streak, which is his 5th of the season, believe it or not. I mean, the season's only 70-some games old, and he's had 5 streaks of 10 games or longer. And but to me, the really impressive feat is 4 10-game plus scoring streaks in a row. He had a 17-game streak. He got shut out for 1 game. Came right back with a 15-game streak. He got shut out for 1 game. He came right back with an 11-game streak. Got shut out for 1 game. And now he's got a 10-game and counting streak. 4 in a row. So he scored in what's that? 53 of his last 56 games. How's that? And on the season, he's only been shut out 7 times all season. So nice. Those are you're wandering perilously close to Gretzky territory with those kind of consistent production numbers. Not quite as many 5 and 6 point games like the Gretz used to put up there, but in terms of getting on the score sheet night after night after night, man, it's just been really impressive. And even the great one, I'm sure he never had 5, 10 game streaks in the season because he was too busy having a 50 game streak. It's pretty hard to have several long streaks when one or two of them are super long. But anyway, this is a phenomenal feat. Like literally shut down for one game and bounced right back into another streak. So literally, I mean, he's in Joe DiMaggio territory, 56 in a row, where he just had the three sort of hitless games in there, but just bringing it on the offensive side and scoring a lot of key goals like the one he got tonight.
Yeah, I wonder if he did like a era adjusted point scoring calculation where this season would rank for McDavid all time. Like he would be challenging, I think, some of Gretzky's seasons. In that regard.
In some respects, I think if you look at, he's leading the scoring race by 27, 28. I think it's 27, and so he's right there with among the leaders for the widest margin of victory ever in the scoring race. Except for one man during one specific period of time between 1981, 82, and 1986, 87. There was a 6-season span where Wayne Gretzky won the Art Ross Trophy by, wait for it, 65, 72, 79, 73, 74, and 75 points. 6 years in a row, he absolutely dominated the rest of the league by very nearly 1 point per game above the runner-up for the Art Ross Trophy. Hart Ross, yeah. Wow. He got both in all those years. He got the Hart and the Ross, and I mean the margins of victory he was just in another planet in terms of, and so McDavid's 27 points, awesome as it is, it pales in comparison to those years, and there were 6 of them in a row. And the year before that, in 80-81, when he first sort of broke out, he was tied for the league lead at the midway point, and he wound up winning that one by 29 points. And that was just the second half of that season was a sign of things to come, that this guy is just a league apart from even the top superstars, the Marcel Dion, Mike Bossy, Brian Trottier, Guy Lafleur of the world, Peter Stastny, or even his own teammates, Yari Curry and Paul Coffey were, that far behind him. And then it was, so to me, that stands alone as, the complete domination of the league I've ever seen. Only Bobby Orr, playing a different position, had a run of years that was close to as dominant as that.
Well, there's one thing we know for sure, Bruce, is that you just made up those numbers because no one could be that good. No one could be that good. And if they could, no one could remember those 6 numbers in a row.
So. I sure can. I can tell how many goals and assists in each year, how many points. And if I scratch my head for a minute or two, I could probably name all those runners up, of which there was 5 different guys, and only the great Yari Curry was the runner-up to Gretzky 2 times.
If you scratch your head, it's because you're pushing the button on that chip that Elon Musk put in there. Bruce, my number is more mundane than the.
I thought it was Bill Gates, but okay.
My number is 34-18. I don't think we haven't counted this, but I don't think the Oilers have led the games in hits very often this year. I think usually they're on the. I could be mistaken on this, but I think they're on the other side of it. But tonight. This is evidence of their physical domination in this game, and 34-18 when it comes to hits thrown in this game. So that was a playoff hockey effort from the Oilers. They're gearing it up at the right time, and that was exciting to see.
11 different Oilers with multiple hits in this game, led by Evander Kane's 8, as you pointed out, 7 in the first period. Somewhat ironically, Connor McDavid had 0. But the one big hit that he did have, of course, was a penalty, so not counted as a hit.
Well, they don't count those as hits.
No, not as a penalty. They don't.
Nor as hit of the game. They didn't even. I thought they would show that as hit of the game, but on the podcast, it's probably they don't feel they can do that legally.
Not for a penalty, no.
Okay.
No, and so it's anyway. But he And Draisaitl had 3. Bouchard had 4, and played a very engaged game. I thought Bouch.
Yep.
Ekholm had a couple. Costin, Nurse, Kulak, Fogel. I mean, these are guys that when they hit you, Deharnay, you know it. But
I
it
thought
was
Nurse was
all
fantastic.
across the line. Nurse was great in this game.
Yeah, he really was. He really was. He just played. That might be one of the best games I've ever seen Darnell Nurse play. So there's an extra good thing. Bruce, I got to head out now. To my daughter's at a rock concert. I got to go pick her up. So we got to cut her short here.
All right.
But thank you for talking tonight.
Yep. Thanks for listening, everyone.
And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.